Maltepes. We've had a lot of news breaking out regarding Syria. Some people don't know what to believe, especially with all the contradicting reports and propaganda mainstream media displays to the public. Nowadays, people feel more lost than ever. And that's hopefully where the Maltepes report comes into play today. We're thankful to be joined by Rafael Issa. Thank you for being here, Rafael. I'm happy to
Thank you
have
for
you
having
on, and hopefully you can help our audience and the world understand what's going on in the Middle East and Syria specifically. You're the founder of the Levantine Greek Association and are heavily involved in the Middle East and Syria. Can you do me a favor and tell the audience about yourself and who the Levantine Greeks are and the foundation is about?
Yeah, my name is Rafael. I founded this association. I think it's close to 9 years ago now. Um,
Hmm.
the purpose of the association was actually to inform people on our community. Our community is I don't know how to call it, like the remnant of the Byzantine Empire in the area. Study shows we can trace ourselves all the way back to Alexander and beyond, but we were the Levantine part of the Rum millet, which all the Greeks belonged to in the Ottoman days.
So that's what exactly what I was going to get into. Levantine Greeks have multiple names in which they have or referred to, such as you said, the Rum. Where does that name come from? And just like a little more explanation on that for the audience.
Uh, the Rum comes from actually the Greek word. We were self-determined as Romeos or Romi in plural, in which the word was translated into Rum or Rumi in Arabic, and it stuck also with the Ottoman authorities. So it basically means Eastern Roman or Greek. It was the ethnonym for Greek during the entire empire.
So we've heard a lot of information lately about the Syria and the overthrowing of Assad. Can you explain the current situation and now how the former leader of Syria is supposedly in Russia? Is that correct?
What we have been told by official channels, to be honest with you, I think everyone was caught by surprise. So there's a lot of rumors circulating, but we don't have anything really confirmed. I mean, Assad hasn't made a statement, and none from the former government has either officially. But we know that Russia confirmed he was in Moscow. He fled on December 8th, if I remember the date correctly. So he is currently in Moscow, and yeah, that's all we know
So
about it.
how fast did that happen? When did you first hear reports of there was a potential coup happening?
Uh, I think all these events started like a week earlier or 5 days earlier with the overtaking of Aleppo,
Mhm.
uh, which was also surprising because it's been rather calm for a few years.
Yeah.
Uh, in the beginning, it looked like history was repeating itself. You know, all the clashes we had back in 2011 to 14 were happening again. But I actually woke up to the news that he had left the country. So I was caught by surprise, like everyone else, on the 8th, Sunday morning.
So in the last Syrian Civil War, they tried overthrowing the Assad regime, right, for over a couple. You said in 2011. How did they accomplish that in less than a couple of weeks this time around? And it seems as if Assad's regime simply gave in without a fight. Is that true? Do you believe there were deals made, possibly, or if so, what do you think they were?
Um, well, it's a complicated question. I mean, the Syrian people have been starving for many years. The Caesar Acts imposed sanctions on Syria, which caused a hyperinflation. Um, that, of course, leads to the downfall. From what I can tell, corruption was still very high. So I think that contributed a lot. But I mean, from the outside, it looks like a deal was brokered. As simple as that. A deal was made, and all the involved parties are fulfilling their roles.
So that's the next question I was going to ask you about. How did the people of Syria, neighboring countries, see Assad? Were the people comfortable with him as their leader? Did they not like him as their leader, or did they maybe possibly rather have the alternative, which is now Giuliani? How did the rest of the Levant view him?
I think, I don't know, because if you look at neighboring Lebanon, I mean, Assad's father caused a lot of grief in Lebanon, so the Assad family wasn't very liked at all. I think, though, he was very popular in Syria, and it's like a reference from their point of view. They had stability, which they appreciated. But I mean, the corruption was not a secret to anyone. You could just land at Damascus airport and discover it like firsthand as soon as you land. So, uh, it's never a black and white answer to anything. I mean, there are nuances of it, and I think he had great support among some people, and he was hated among others. Simple.
So I have some statistics here that before the Syrian Civil War, Christians supposedly reportedly made up at least 10% of the population in Syria. Now they only make up 2 to 3% maybe. Uh, were the Christians comfortable with Assad as their leader? Did they feel safe? And also, something to note is from reported statistics, the population of Syria was about 23 million before the Civil War. During the Civil War, it's like 19 million ish, and now was recovering back up to 21, 22 million. So we had about a 20% decline there during the Civil War. But Christians, as you saw, they went from 10% to 2%, which is a
Oh,
huge, even bigger decline.
yeah. The Civil War was never the Christians' fight. Um, so I guess many people gave up. They know that they were safe under Assad, and I think they appreciated that. But that's the only perks they had basically, because they were not given a special place in society at all. Um, so yeah, they felt safe definitely under Assad. But apart from that, I mean, they suffered the consequences of having a one-party system for so many years. Syria was kind of in a socialistic state. You can see it. I haven't been there since 2007, but it was clear that it was far behind the West in terms of living standards.
Hmm. So I've heard that the Giuliani and the people who launched the coup, the mainstream media has categorized them as moderate rebels, many news networks. But aren't these isn't Giuliani a spinoff in his new faction? Aren't they a spinoff of Al Qaeda or ISIS? Is this true? I've heard reports of this.
Yeah, supposedly Jolani was part of. I don't know if he ever was part of Al Qaeda, but he was part. Sorry, of ISIS, but he was part of Al Qaeda. Um, Initially, I thought, this is Al Qaeda coming back again uh,
Yeah.
into the mix. But to be honest with you, it's been 4 days, and so far we don't see any of the aggressions or acts of violence that we have seen in the past, as far as I can get confirmed from the ground. So either the ideology has changed, or they're trying to make it. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Everyone's taken by by all the events, and yeah. Um,
It's a lot of information and a lot of things happening so fast that sometimes it's hard to make sort of what's actually going on. So, who do you think was helping Giuliani and his coup? Who do you think was funding it or providing ammunition, weaponry? Uh, who do you think was behind it as well? Was there anyone in your
I
opinion?
think it's pretty obvious. I mean, if Erdogan comes out the day before and says, "I hope they get to Damascus without any major incidents," I mean, the guy was definitely informed and in on it. We also see that some information, unconfirmed, is leaking from this Astana agreement, which was revised on the 8th, or the days prior to the 8th. So definitely, I think Turkey had a part of this. I mean, they've even said it officially. So But the other
Yeah.
players who are not seen, I don't know, maybe the US is involved. Russia was a part of it as well, even though they you know, deny being part of it. Now reports are coming out that they were well aware. Iran was part of it, probably. For the rest, it's just speculation. I don't know.
So yes, I've heard reports or rumors that Turkey, CIA branch of the United States. I have not heard Russia, so that's very interesting to me. That's another thing I want to talk about. So Russia was uh, defending Syria to extent, right? And they're heavily involved. So with this happening, why did they pull out so fast? And also, if they were a part of the coup, why would they do such a thing? Do you think? What is in it for
I'm
them?
not sure it was even a coup. I think it was just an agreement. And I don't have anything to
Agreement.
confirm this,
Yeah.
but I mean, you have to agree that the chain of events were weird, the least to say.
Yeah.
Uh,
Odd.
um, I mean, Russia was a major player in the entire conflict for 10 years. I don't think, that their intelligence would have missed such a thing.
Yeah.
But again, nothing I can confirm. It just, from what I see.
So, in the last civil war, who were the players behind that? Do you believe?
Do you mean the beginning of the conflict?
Yes. Back in
It's
2011.
just, yeah, it's the same players.
Same
I mean, the
players.
U.S.
That's
had
what
a
I
big
assumed.
stake in it. Yeah, I think it was in Israel's interest to get rid of Assad, to be rid of Iran and Hezbollah, etc.
Mhm.
And all of this is, if you said this back in 2005, people would call you a conspiracy theorist. But now, I
Yeah.
mean, both Erdogan came out, Netanyahu has come out, everyone has come out and just,
That's what
shown
I had
themselves.
assumed. Yeah. Well, a lot of things begin off as theories, end up becoming true because information doesn't want to be leaked, whatever the case is. So we have a new inauguration of a president of the United States coming soon. How important is the inauguration of President Trump to the Middle East, Christians in the Middle East? And do you think the fact that Trump will take office soon uh, will play a factor in Syria and what's going on? Or has it played a factor?
uh, that's a very hard question. I don't know. I mean, with Trump assuming office, we know that things are happening on the Russian-US relations. Will that impact the Middle East? I mean, Trump has been very clear of his support to Israel, uh, the lack of tolerance towards Iran. Um, I don't dare to speculate in it. It will have an effect,
Mm,
but what effect? I don't know.
interesting. So recently, he appointed a new Middle East advisor, Masad Boulos, who is supposedly a Levantine Greek himself. He's Greek Orthodox, from what I heard. What do you think this has an effect on the Levant? And if so, what do you think it will do?
I think it's great that they found someone who is Levantine because the mentality in the Middle East differs a lot from the Western one. So it's good that he has appointed someone who can at least understand the values and the philosophy, so to speak, of the people. I did not know he was a Levantine Greek himself, but I'm glad that you say that because we have zero representation internationally.
Yeah,
We don't have a lobby of any sort. So that's great news to us, and hopefully that will give us at least recognition.
yeah, he's Greek Orthodox from Lebanon, from what I hear. Um, have you talked to the churches down in Syria about the current situation? And if you have, what have they said?
I haven't spoken to the churches. I have spoken to our local parish
Mhm.
and asked them, but they don't have any info either. Uh, it's been quite quiet from the church. They have made, I think, one or two public statements, and that's all we know from their side. But I do have contact with, civilians on the ground.
Yeah. It's a lot of so what have the civilians said then?
I mean, they're scared. They're afraid. Um, the uncertainty. They have the 14 years of war behind them. So I fully understand that they're scared, but from the people I've spoken to, there have been no incidents. It's been very calm. It seems almost coordinated. You know, uh, yeah, I'm surprised by what I hear because I was expecting, to see 2014 in a rerun, but no.
Well, that is good news that everything's calm, peaceful right now.
It
So
is. People have been depraved of electricity for years. Now all of a
mhm,
sudden they have electricity again. Maybe not 24/7, but at least a lot more than they had
yeah,
before. I even heard that ACS was out handing out bread to people.
oh,
So
interesting.
far so good. Yeah.
That's good news. So the leader Julani, as we talked about, he's reportedly part of Al Qaeda, and he was labeled a terrorist by one of the U.S. embassies, and now he's being labeled a rebel. So my point is, and now things are peaceful. You're saying. So do you believe things actually have changed? And do you think what do you make of this?
Things have changed. Now, initially they have.
Yeah.
Um, uh, will they remain, positive changes? I can't tell. I mean, the rebels or HTS or whomever is now in control of Syria, there are so many fractions I can't keep track of them. They announced that they have now an interim government, which is supposedly only supposed to be there until March when a new constitution is presented,
Hmm.
and then I
That's
guess
interesting.
it will be elections.
Well, I guess we'll see. That's interesting. March, you said, correct?
Yeah, March.
So Christians have been an integral part of the Middle East, specifically the Levant, for years. This is their homeland, right? We can visibly see how Roman and Greek the Levant actually is, and many Roman Greek structures still remain. How has the situation with the Levantine Greeks in Rome changed over the years from the Greek Eastern Roman Empire known as the Byzantine Empire to now?
Well, when they tried to take down the Ottoman Empire, there was a heavy Arabization of the entire people. So that's why you have um, you find you find us in the Arab lobby more than like in the Greek lobby in the US. Um, they call themselves Arab Americans, and this is linked to I mean, the Baath Party, of course, was the big Arabist party, but even prior to that, I think in 1899 they deposed any pro-Hellenistic or pro-Byzantine patriarch and
Huh.
appointed patriarchs who had the Arab national sentiment. And heavy Arabization went on, from that point on. So any Greek language was lost. I mean, the food remains the same. You will know the foods uh, and all of the holidays. But yeah, there was a heavy Arabization, and especially under the party of the Assads, which was a pan-Arabic party. And being non-Arab kind of was, I don't know if it was considered treason, but it certainly certainly not loyal to the party.
So, how many Christians currently reside in Syria? Do you know? I know
I
2%,
don't know. I heard around a half of a million.
half of a million. Do you know how many
Yeah,
currently
half to 700,000.
reside in Lebanon? Is Lebanon a Christian
Uh,
state, considered a Christian state or country?
Lebanon, I think, it officially was considered a Christian state. In Lebanon, I'm not sure. They haven't done a census since 1934,
Wow, long time.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long time. But I would say definitely 2 million at least.
Mhm.
Mm.
So, do you think it will continue to be a Christian, or do you think they're on the verge of becoming more of an Islamic state?
I think it all depends on how it plays out in Syria.
Yeah,
Uh,
interesting.
um, I mean, demographically, they were a majority back in when the country was formed, but I'm not sure they are anymore. And they have been in a state of well, they've had a failed state for a while now.
Yeah.
And I think whomever is majority now is calling out that they should have a majority of representatives. It's a mess as well, I think.
So that's something else I want to get into because Supposedly, reportedly, Mossad Boulos, Trump's Middle East advisor, had links and ties, friends of the Hezbollah preferred pick for, I believe, one of the top seats in the government.
Mhm.
So I thought that was interesting dynamic. But one thing I want to talk on besides that is what can Christians do to safeguard themselves with the chaos that is in the Middle East? Because it seems like they, as you pointed out earlier, in Syria, it was not their war, so they're constantly getting caught in the middle of the crossfires, right?
Yeah.
So what can they do to
Uh,
safeguard themselves?
it's been like this for for ages.
Yeah,
I think what the Christians do is basically they, stick to themselves. Um, what can they do to safeguard? I mean, those who are on the ground now, they can't do much. But we in the diaspora and the international community should speak on their behalf because they are a minority. As you said, 2% of the population can't put up,
yeah.
much of a fight, even in a political sense. They just are. So yeah, I don't know. I think they're in a almost like an indifferent state. Uh, you know, waiting for judgment from others.
How are the current relations of Greece with the Greeks in Levant?
I would say if apart from the church's connections to each other, I would say non-existent.
Non-existent.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah. Um, there has been some cooperations. I mean, it's the Greek Orthodox Church, so they have
Yeah.
all are connected to each other. I know that Greek priests go to seminaries in Thessaloniki to learn Greek, among other things, but the people don't have any relations with Greece at all.
So the Greek Orthodox Church, how strong is that relationship uh, with mainland Greece? Or how strong is the relationship with Cyprus as well?
I think it's very strong.
Very strong.
Yeah, yeah. The churches have a strong connection to each other, good relationship. I mean, even with Constantinople, Cyprus, as you mentioned, the Archbishop of Greece. Um, no, the churches have, but the people haven't.
Hmm, that's interesting. Do the people have a connection to Cyprus at all?
Uh, no,
No. Interesting.
no.
Being
You have
so
a lot of
close,
Lebanese
especially.
Christians in Cyprus. That's all I know, but there's no connection, otherwise.
Do you believe that the country of Greece should seek to provide asylum for the Levantine Greeks? And do you believe that the Levantine Greeks should seek asylum to Greece if provided? Or should they stay in their homelands with what's going on in Syria?
I've been asked this question many times. My answer has always been no.
Mhm.
I think what Greece should do is try to support us to remain in our ancestral lands and be who we are without persecution or discrimination. That should always be the aim.
Yeah.
Um, but depending on how events turn, it could be a necessity
Hmm.
uh, to evacuate them and very quickly as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like
It's
we don't
tough.
know what's happening around us.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So knowing now, right, that the population went from 10% to 2%, uh, do you think last time, if it was possible, that they should have sought asylum if the situation was the same and Greece offered it in 2011?
They definitely should have.
Yeah,
I mean, the fall from 10% to 2% isn't all violence. I mean, a lot of people
just left.
emigrated. Yeah, they
Yeah,
left. And looking at my own family, I mean, we're on three continents, three different continents. The community is totally falling apart. We don't have,
yeah,
anywhere we can call our own anymore. Um, so I don't know if Greece is interested in it, but we need to have at least somewhere we can call home. At least
yeah,
somewhere I can meet my cousins whom I haven't met in 20 years. Like we were talking about earlier. just go there for summer,
Yeah.
spend summer there and go back to wherever you live.
Yeah, just a place to go and really connect in with the community and your family and culture and where you come from. So
Yeah,
go ahead. No, please.
sorry. Yeah, because wherever you migrate to, you become assimilated. It's a matter of time only. So look at the American community we have. I think third generation, they don't even speak neither Greek nor Arabic or know any of the customs. They've become
Yeah,
Americanized.
it's true.
Um, and that would be sad to see I think with the Syria, Lebanon, and the diaspora, we're 5 million uh,
Yeah.
who will be lost yeah.
It's a slow thing. So the first generation, then you have the second, then by the third, like you said, ends up losing it. And you're definitely correct about that.
Yeah.
So I have a question. What's your main focus with the Levantine Greek Association? You are the founder of and CEO.
The main focus was to raise awareness about us uh, to the people outside of Syria and Lebanon, but also inside of Syria and Lebanon, because
Yeah.
our history has been kind of censored and pushed into this Arabist agenda. Um, and we will continue doing that. We will try to create a digital platform with maybe podcasts, YouTube videos, studies. We translated the book of the historian Pavlos Karoly.
Hmm.
Sorry, a call came through despite do not disturb.
No worries.
Uh, so I don't know where I got cut off. We translated the book of historian Pavlos Karoulidis
Yes.
about the origins of the Orthodox in Syria and Lebanon, and I think also Palestine. So we're going to continue those types of activities, but now with the situation being what it is, I think we should start looking into aid,
Mhm.
speaking to the Greek government in case something happens, other European governments as well to safeguard, our lives, not so much our interests.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Have you seen anyone raise questions about this situation in the Greek government yet?
yes. A few years ago, I was invited to the parliament by uh, the Ministry of Diaspora.
Mhm.
Uh, it was the initiative of New Democracy in Greece. And well, may his memory be eternal. Manousos Voudodakis was the PM who actually fought a lot for us. He passed away in cancer, unfortunately, a bit over a year ago. But now in recent times, we have Nikki speaking up for us, and some other right-wing parties. I was tagged in a video today. To be honest, I haven't had the time to see who it was, but I saw that they were talking about us in Parliament today, which makes me very glad.
Wow,
Uh,
that's good. That's
yeah,
good. Oh, that's interesting. So, what were your main? When did you create this association? 8 years ago,
I think in 2015 it was registered.
2015. So, like 8, 9 years ago. So, a decade in. What have you learned so far from when you began to now? Almost a decade.
Um, in what sense? I mean, like having an association or for the community in
Just
general?
with the community, with branching towards Greece, and extending the olive branch to see if they will converse and talk, and just anything and everything. It could be anything you learned. Just maybe with the
Oh,
community, with dealing with governments, maybe dealing with the people in Syria.
Uh, one thing I've learned and that I'm proud of is that we kind of have aspired grassroots movements. I mean, we don't have a leader, we don't have anyone who's uniting us in some sort of organization.
Mhm.
But you can see all over social media that you have individuals or groups who do their best to take their time off, to inform the people, to spread, anything, historic facts, genetic results. That's one thing that's it's great to see. I mean, how
Mhm.
this kind of pops up by itself. Um, Another thing I've learned is tenacity.
Yeah,
I mean, no one heard of us 10 years ago. Uh,
it's true.
Now we're being mentioned in the parliament. Our people on the ground in Lebanon and Syria are looking at their history and going like, yeah, you're right. We were Byzantines. We were not enemies of the Byzantines, actually,
Yeah.
like they taught us. Um, so I think tenacity and we don't, uh, depending on how it goes now in the Levant, we were never expecting to see a change in our generation. We
Mhm.
were kind of doing this for our children and their children. Um, and I learned that it can be done because it was very hopeless in the beginning, but results are coming slowly.
I've seen on Twitter a big pick pickup or tick up, whatever you want to call it, and a lot of Christians from the Levant tweeting, and there's like a little subgroup community, and it seems to be growing. And I see a lot of
Yeah.
people speaking up for the Levant and the Greeks in the Levant in the room, and by a lot of people with a big followings and whatnot, which is something you talked about. So, what is next for Rafael Issa?
Um, I took down the website of the association 3 days ago. We're changing platforms to create a digital, like I say, a creative space of some sort for anyone who's interested to join and contribute. Um, Next step would be to actually meet some Greek politicians and discuss if we can find mutual goals. Um, and if things stay calm in Syria, we have to start helping our people on the ground, both in Lebanon and Syria, to actually establish themselves. I was hoping to be able to create some sort of business network. Syria and Lebanon have great produce that could be exported. And here in the West, I mean, our community is in contact with companies we can actually export to the Levant as well. And you know, they would need some help from outside to create companies, trade, make a living,
Mhm.
getting back into normal life.
Well, thank you for coming on, my Greek brother. Thank you guys for listening very much. Make sure to check out the Levantine Greek Association and Rafael Issa if you'd like to plug in your social medias and where to contact you and whatnot.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for listening, everyone out there. I'm glad you notice us now.
That's awesome.
Oh,
We'll link all the socials in our bio. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this with all the people you know so we can get the word out. Thank you guys very much. Until next time on the Maltepes Show. Perfect.
oh, Jesus, man, I'm freezing my ass off.
You